You know something? I like it. This engine a bit. This plane I like it better with the other.
My feelings are hurt.
Eh?
My feelings are hurt. You don't like my plane.
No, I like it. This.
What are you gonna do? You gonna fly or you gonna hang around? Just gonna hang around?
I coming for the blood test.
Put a blood test?
Yeah.
What do you got, AIDS or something? What's going on?
I have a problem in the heart.
Oh. So you just stopped by to... There's no terrorism in town. Raul's here at the field. We got him handcuffed to a bench.
I take a Kumud.
Now, what I always do now, I'll let this cool down. I'll check all the zip ties. Because with these new zip ties, I'm not sure these are... but these are exactly what we're going to use until we get some new ones. But anyway, the biggest thing, let it cool down. We'll check the bolts again. And that's a full 16-inch prop on it. This is a 16, not a 15. So we're going to start with a big prop and work our way back down and maybe wind up with the 4-blade at the end of the day.
I like it. It's a more narrow in the back.
All right, so what we're going to do, should be almost cooled off now, is start with the 16-inch prop. It's probably going to wind up, because it being a hot day, it's going to be a little bit too big. We got the 15. This is a 16 by 4 1/4. But we have enough ground clearance here I can fool with this now. But most of the time that we do these tests, 9 times out of 10 we wind up putting back the 4-blade. But we'll give it a shot. We got time. There is actually, it's gone dead now and thermally, so really not a good time to be flying patterns, but we can at least figure out what prop is going to be a good match for the pipe. Try to get that figured out if we can. Since this ship's already had the fuselage refinished with automotive, we don't have to worry about that snippetous little fuel that gets on every once in a while, but it's just out of a habit that I do this. I don't know why. And I don't like to have the fuel underneath, just so it's a mess. Anyway, there's quite a bit of pull with this prop. This prop is like the tractor pull king of the universe. All right. Set. Lines are set. After flipping 14-inch props, this seems like it's gigantic. Has a really nice mellow sound that I like. Now, as I walk the lines out and clean them, and I always holler at Rich for not wiping his lines enough, it reminds me how pointless it is to fly planes like this on 021s. That really was not a well thought out rule, that's for sure. And again, I hope they change it. And I know several people are contributing their efforts to making that happen. Now, it just reminds me how different, these two planes are very different in the way they feel at the handle. And now, because we've made a big gain, I think a giant gain on the Testarossa, I'm wondering if we can't make the same gain on this. Now, because we've added about 2 ounces, well, a little, maybe 1 3/4 ounces to the bottom of the plane, the next time I get to work on this, I'm going to take the wheel pants off and just put the bare gear back, because what's going to happen is I don't want to retweak the flap to make up for that vertical CG beep. See, now it's really bottom heavy with the wheel pants and the extra weight of the pipe. Where with the header it was a tie, the wheel pants just made it a tie. So that's the next step. And the next step is just to get the feel back, because we haven't flown this guy in some amount of time anyway. And the Testarossa with that new CG, and I think that's been an upgrade, and I'm really hoping I can do the same thing on this. As we got to switch props. This prop is just in this hot air, it's a little too soft. Got to put one on with a little more pitch, and then probably at the end of the day we'll just go to the 4-blade. Okay, this prop has 5 inches of pitch. This should give us, well, we'll re-needle it of course, should give us a little more Speed, still a 16-inch. This is the biggest prop. Now the reason I wanted to start with the biggest prop is the pipe changes somewhat the character of the engine. And I wanted to see if, well, if this was going to be a giant gain, a little gain, no gain, or a loss, or something in between. And I need to keep track of the mileage too, that I don't wind up because this plane runs tight on fuel at times. When we run it wide open, it can be tight, very tight on fuel. And it's starting to look like a day that we're going to be putting sunscreen on all day. And I love that feeling of when you get home that you've fallen into a vat of Crisco or something. And here come the geese. Oh, oh, oh. Don't you love them? Okay. We'll see if this gives us a little more lap speed. Now every time I switch to props, I'm realizing this engine with the pipe wants to run probably 1,000 RPM more. It's not real happy down low, but boy does it get happy up top. So I see this is going to be a major tuning change, and the major change is going to come from the prop at this point in time, because we really can't make the pipe any longer in the plane. We're limited to 18 inches, but we do have plenty of props. So now it's a question of trying to marry up the prop with whatever time we have left. Marry up the prop that's going to be the right speed for the engine. Really is friendly with the pipe. I thought it might get unfriendly. No. So at this point, what we're looking for is a prop that's going to run 500 to 1,000 RPM higher, and we got to go to the selection that we already have. Now, from the ones we have, and we've got most of them marked, what RPMs they want to run at or what field they were working good at. So now we can just, by replacing the prop, leave the RPM, let the RPM come up 500 or maybe 1,000 more. See how the engine likes that. And this is where it's going to take quite a few flights and some Frajewskiing around, because it's really getting hotter and hotter and hotter, and the air density is dropping off quickly. So we're certainly going to need to run the motor faster and get a little more pitch in the prop. Okay, the air density just went below 90, so we're going to be, I'm guessing, 1,000 RPM harder than we were before. We're certainly going to find out right away. Now, after several flights with the 15.5, it's apparent we're kind of married into the 5 inches of pitch. These really don't have the real 5 inches of pitch. Rev ups usually have less. it's probably legitimately 4.5. But what I wanted to do, I want to put the no wheel pants gear on just to get the vertical CG right, so I don't have to deal around with the flap. Now what I always try to do is bring as many of the parts as I'm going to need for these kind of things to the field, and obviously today the difference in what the wheel pants weigh and the straight gear legs is probably a pretty good match for keeping the vertical CG the way we want it. But again, the only real test is to fly it, and after this I think we're ready to start flying some real stunt patterns. Or at worst, tomorrow we'll be, what I hope, back in the ballpark here. And what I always do is I always keep the gear legs in a plastic bag to avoid scratching them as much as possible. And the nice thing about the Midgley composite wings is all of the parts interchange, so we can basically put Testarossa gear on this plane, swap them, swap wheel pants, wheels, and these are the lightest, of course. And right now we're trying to get weight off the bottom of the CG. That's the number one thing. And then we're going to fly some stunt patterns. And when I put these back, the plastic bag kind of protects them somewhat. I don't care about the wire. It's just the painted part I'd like to protect. In fact, I need bigger bags. And also the plane is a little, maybe an ounce and a quarter lighter without the wheel pants. But that isn't really a big deal when you have a 90. Now the real reason I wanted to push on this, get this plane back flying in the Air Force on a regular daily basis, one of the things I wanted to try is more elevator. I want to try the same thing. A little bit of nose weight and or take off some tail weight. In this case I don't think we have any. But what I thought I wanted to try is just exactly what we did with the Testarossa, and maybe we can get an upgrade on this too. But see, the thing is, we're not going to know unless we try it. And that's what makes this interesting. That's why I never get tired of being at the field here and just maneuvering parts around and changing things. And see, I can't really do this on a day when there's other people flying, because to do this I need to compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges. The wind didn't change. Right now the wind is moving. Every flight is different than the flight before. It's almost impossible to shoot video right now, but if we get this in the ballpark, and then maybe tomorrow we can get some real footage on how it's performing. And then the last thing is, I always like to do is get my best two-blade prop for the day and fly it against what I think is always the winner, is my red 14.5-inch Doran prop, and then pick the best prop. And in this hot weather, they both are good, but usually the 4-blade is just a little bit better. Again, we're going to see. That's the fun of doing this. Anyway, it is fun. There's just no two ways about it. I enjoy it, I'm challenged by it, and I never get sick of it, all at the same time. So that must mean I'm a whack or something, I don't know. And anyway. Now, the pipe didn't really affect the mileage much. We still got plenty of fuel. So we're at the point now where once we settle in on a prop, we're just going to start flying some stunt patterns here. And the planes do fly very similar, but each one has its own unique personality. And this one, under some conditions, is just unstoppable. There's some conditions that I've flown this on that I said, wow, I don't think any plane I've ever had has flown better. And sometimes the Testarossa is better. And the idea we're trying to do is learn from both of them and basically put all that information into the Spitfire. And I think we're going to be able to accomplish that. I'm really optimistic that this Spitfire that's coming up, Joe and I are going to have just the best of all worlds. And Joe's already made plans for the 2008 Nats Spitfire reunion. Now, as this day has panned out, we've gone through pretty much all of the props we know had some future here. The wood props. Time to start testing the four-bladed props. Now, the four-bladed props give us two advantages. We got the wheel pants off, and that got us back to almost where this vertical CG should be, and this little extra weight on top brings us right back to where it's almost perfect. So that's a little trim feature that we have on a plane. Also, it does the thing that I want. It's making the plane a little more nose heavy, and because we have a variable horn in the back, when I get back to the shop, I'm going to incrementally increase how much elevator travel I have, just to see if that's going to work the same way that it's worked on the Testarossa, and boy, were we happy with the results of that. So we got some valid testing here to do. But for sure, with the weight of the pipe, and I think it's 1.75 ounces, but I'm not sure, the weight of the pipe and getting rid of the wheel pants was an exact draw. Now, getting the heavier prop, and it's about a 1/2 ounce heavier, the four blade is heavier than the wood props, of course. I think if I remember right, that brought us right back to where, kind of a square one, where it was right on the money, the vertical CG. But again, I'd have to check it at the shop. Now luckily we have these all marked. So but I know the one that's the extra long one that I made, and it's 14.5. I know that's the one that, well, it was working the best under some real hot conditions in Texas. So I guess that would be a valid place to start. But I've got most of them marked, which are the fast ones, slow ones, medium. And I believe it was, yes it was. You can see I've got some of these marked that they're slow and fast and hot to trot and not hot to trot. But the good thing is we have the mold that Doran loaned us. And Mike Scott's got one of these now too for testing his 90. So you would think sooner or later we're going to zero in on something that's going to work well. Boy, this day has really been productive. I can't complain about it. I really wasn't even expecting to get this much done, but and it looks like it may be some clouds coming in here now, but even so, we've gotten more done today. We've gotten more done this week. This has just been like the ultimate week. But you got to take them when you can take them. And I never know, and of course that's the whole problem with living here. And by the way, it was a very sad thing happened before. I mean, I was heartbroken. The camera wasn't running, but I was adjusting a needle on a plane, and I saw a monarch butterfly flattering and flattering, and finally eventually worked his way right into the prop. But that just made me sad. And we're in that season where these butterflies are everywhere. I think, but I'm not sure, that they ultimately fly to Mexico. Monarchs. I've seen that on TV, but now, unfortunately, we do have some action down at the other end of the field. Tony Soprano's garbage man down there doing something distracting. I guess these guys don't know this is my private flying field. I'm not sure they know. I'm not sure they care. Anyway, this was the prop that worked the best down in Texas. And it feels like Texas out here now. It's over 90 degrees, below 90 air density. Motor's still hot, doesn't even cool off between flights. I know you're hot. I know, honey. You're getting spoiled flipping two-bladed props. Now I'm going back to this stuff where you've always got to catch the right blade. Well, we sure have maximized this day. I don't even know how to think about this yet. We really got more done today than probably any other single day this year. The only thing we don't have is some 90 flights on video, but I think it's going to have to wait till tomorrow. I want to get one more run on this because we got, you might hear it in the background, these guys are working on the the pool area with backhoes or something over there, and the noise is very distracting. Anyway, we're down below 90, going down to 88 air density. Quite a change today. But if this were super duper weather, like it was earlier in the week, I would be thinking all this success might be marginal. But if you can get it to fly good in 88, that's pretty ballpark. That's going to work an awful lot of the time. I just got to get used to flipping four-bladed props again. It's definitely more work flipping four blades, especially when the motor's hot like this. Come on, up you go. Pain in the neck. It's a very Rich Oliver for winning. Oh, when it's hot, what a pain, and it's really hot. All right, you can start. It's okay. We're going to Houston. Well, so ends, I think, possibly the best day that we've had. And we need to still go through some more of the four blades, but I'm just exhausted, hot. This Houston weather is killing me. Tomorrow we'll try to link up with Brian. Rich is going to be gone for the weekend. Do some more prop testing on this, maybe get some more flights on the Testarossa. We have really used this week, and I hope you've picked up some of the information or some of the adventure that we all share in the world of control line stunt. Now, this is funny. Well, it's funny for Bernie Trent, not for me. Every year he sends me a hat. He knows I'm a Ravens fan. And, you know, one of the things that the Jets last Sunday played the Ravens and lost right at the last minute, so I'm not sure. I'm still a Ravens fan, but anyway, Bernie sends me these hats every year. I wear them out every year. Believe me, the old one is toast. We got a nice new one now. So if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, and by the way, some of the things, and this is one of the things I just want to say, this is the sandpaper, and we're using it every day now. This is the sandpaper we got from Bernie Trent. And this is definitely the best sandpaper we've had. So Bernie, we appreciate the hat, and we appreciate, he sent some pictures at the Geneseo Air Show. Let me just plug these into the video. From the Geneseo Air Show from Bernie Trent. Now, I'm not sure anybody doesn't like P40s. Oh man, reminds me of my Spitfire. And what's really good is I haven't really, and neither has Joe Adamusco, really decided on a final, well, we never decide till the last minute, a final paint scheme for the upcoming Spitfire project, but look at those exhausts. Now, what could be better than a Spitfire at Geneseo? Boy, that Spitfire that we got to see in Texas, just awesome, just awesome. Got the Canadian, the insignia that would indicate it was flown by a Canadian. Speaking of Canada, Bill Rutherford, won't be long, he'll be going up to Nova Scotia and stopping here to visit us. A hurricane from Bernie Trent. Bernie, nice photos, appreciate them a whole lot. We'll add them to our collection. You never have too many Spitfire or Hurricane photos, that's for sure. Some nose art on one of the P-51s. Boy, that is some polished aluminum there. That is a Noxon job, baby. Gorham's job. I noticed the canopy on this Spitfire because rudder and canopy, this late model Spit, of course, 4-bladed prop. And after our last weekend at Pal Park, B-17s, late model, got the chin turret. All from the Geneseo Air Show. Bernie, you're a lucky guy, and I really do appreciate the photos. Appreciate sharing them. Share them with all our friends. Anybody goes to an air show and doesn't shoot video or take photos for me, shame on you. Got the nose art on this one, female nose art. We used to have a B-25 that was stationed down at Caldwell and would, on any given Saturday, fly over to Circle Burner Field 3 or 4 times. I don't know if they were given rides or just some rich guy flying around. But he doesn't base it there anymore, and we miss him. Yeah, this is hard not to like this. Corsairs. Early model Corsair, the 3-blade. Another Corsair, as if one wasn't enough. And a P-51 on getting ready, I guess lined up for takeoff. Now I have never been to Geneseo, so we may have to put that on our list. After seeing these pictures, we may definitely have to put it on our list once Karen retires. And what could be better than a B-25? 2 B-25s. What could be better than 2 B-25? 3 B-25s. A nice nose art. That's some mean looking teeth there, Snaggletooth. Look at those exhaust manifolds. Yeah, it's got to be nice to have a real warbird, baby. Now there are some of these, there are I think more than one stationed out on Long Island. Jimmy Borelli was telling me they fly over his house all the time. In fact, I remember seeing one at one of the parties we went to at Jimmy's. I didn't have the camera in my hand, but flew right over his house with the gear coming down. Well, it certainly looks like they had a good time. I noticed this one has the trainer, the double cockpit. So obviously more than one Spitfire, more than one B-25. You can see the ribs, in fact, on this, on the fuselage is fabric covered on a Hurricane. Anyway, those photos from Bernie Trent, and we really appreciate him, Bernie. And a hat. We'll be wearing a hat tomorrow morning. The old hats going into the farm country.
Now it's early in the morning. The sun hasn't even come up yet. I'm out here having my coffee, looking at the garden. I am amazed at these eggplants. Anybody's ever grown eggplants and tomatoes? The tomatoes, tomorrow is Karen's little cookout. We're going to have a little cookout for, it's a belated birthday party the kids are having. And we're going to eat some of this stuff. Tomatoes. And these eggplants. Oh my God, look at these eggplants. So Karen's really happy about one thing. She's graduated farm school university. This is the first time she's ever grown these. Farm School 101. So in her upcoming retirement, if things get tight, we're going to go in the eggplant business. And it probably won't be long. The weather's going to change. But boy, right now, we have had a week. We've had more than a week of just absolutely beautiful weather. Now just look on the seed block. If you see the seed block in the middle, there's a titmouse on there. Now we don't get a lot of titmice here. You can just see his tail sticking out the end of the seed block. But he's a beauty, and in this spring that just passed, when we had the spring, they had babies, and we'd have the pair and the baby at the block all the time. They're such fraidy cats, though. They don't like me taking a picture, unlike the other birds. And there he is up there now. See? He likes that seed block. And it's so nice. It's so cool. See, I'm sitting here having another cup of coffee before we go to the field, because the air is going to be dead this morning. It's going to be dead air this morning, baby. And every morning we look at this great picture that John Pothier did for us. We have the birds, we have the flowers, we have the fish, the coffee. And most of all today, it looks like we got a good day to go flying and get some exercise. Oh, I love titmice. They're bashful birds. They're not like the brown guys. Oh yeah, he likes that. He likes that. Oh, and we got this other thing going on right now, and I don't know why, if this is unique or what, or delayed. Monarch butterflies. Even as you're flying, they fly through the circle, and they're just so many of them all over the place. It's unbelievable. Right, Mr. Titmouse, it's almost time to go flying here. Flying? Who cares about flying? I go flying every day. These guys are cool. And we have Bruce Hunt would love this, we have a dove that comes. I put this feeder special because the dove is too big to get on these feeders, so we feed this dove. And I think it's a female dove, but I'm not sure. But it's the same one every morning. Now it's so early this morning that she's not here yet. See, he's not impressed. There are regular customers. They wait, they get about 20 of them together, and then they all fly down to the feeder at the same time. Well, once we prune our feathers, I think we'll be ready to go down and have some of Wendy's free seeds. Yeah, I got a little itch under my wing here. Yeah, how about those? Yeah, my wing itches too. What are they thinking? Do you think they know I spend all this time and energy feeding them and maintaining these feeders and cleaning them? And I don't think so. All right, time to hit the feeder. Wendy's having his second cup of coffee. We can just go down and help ourselves. And in a matter of seconds, they're everywhere. Unbelievable. So now, just moments later, they're all over the tree. They come in like a bike gang here. They got their Harleys parked on the side, and they're coming down. And it's only a matter of minutes, and this whole window's going to be full of action. Every morning. It's like clockwork. It's unbelievable, but we really do enjoy this, and I really do enjoy sharing. Anybody that's ever visited us, like the Rutherfords are coming here soon, they always love sitting here and looking at the birds in the morning, and even people that are not entertained by birds. And I really don't know why I'm so entertained, other than the experience I had with Chickadoodle, of course. But every time I look at one of those old DVDs or videos or something, and I see old chickies, oh, look who's here. They're back at the only one missing is the dove. I bought that feeder just for her. Yep. It really is a nice way to start a flying day, which I hope this is going to be one of. Brian's already called. He's down the field. He's ready to rock. He's on his way to the field. And we're ready too. Let's just hope this is going to be a great Ferrari day, to have 2 Ferrari planes down the field. So after feeding my birds, Brian and I get out here. We have a little bit of maintenance to do on a field today, and we have to go over to our other field and mow the grass, that little piece of grass, because we want to maintain our presence over there. Just in case, you never know. And anyway, this is, I want to today, hopefully, the air is dead right now, but I want to try some different 4-bladed props, maybe get some flights on this, see how we're liking the way that pipe is running. This will be a good day to do it. It's overcast. In fact, the sun is muted by the clouds, so we should, well, we'll definitely get some flights today, that's for sure. You about ready there, Zippolini? Yeah, now don't get me oily. I got my new Ravens hat on today. Never been fueled. Oh, and the other thing yesterday?
Yeah.
The monarch butterflies are headed to Mexico or something?
Yeah.
There were butterflies everywhere here. It was unbelievable.
Where the hell were we?
One flew into the prop, in fact.
I'm trying to think where I was with John. Oh, it must have been down in Ridgefield. They were all over.
Oh, they were
Rich is going, John is going, Florida, California, something like that.
No, they go to Mexico. Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Oh, they were everywhere. It was unreal. When one flew into the prop, though, yeah, he was hovering, all of a sudden, he was right in the prop. Oh, man. Go. Now Brian's made unbelievable progress. I think in the last 2 years he's really come a long way. One of the reasons is, you know, he's here in the morning, every morning before he goes to work. If it's flyable. And he's been just really putting some effort into this. One of the things that's allowed him, because his legacy crashed last year, having this ARC and the reliability of the Rojet 76 just makes it, I think it's a little bit easier for him to learn. Well, he missed the air there. We're in some dead air here already, so the odds are good we're not going to get any stunt patterns for a while until we get some direction to it. It's totally dead right now. And I didn't bring a Ferrari flag today. When I loaded the car, I had other things to put in there, because we're going to work on the other field. We're actually going to work on this field a little bit. What happened yesterday, the weeds were growing up here, and when I was flying with the Stooge, every time I drag my lines and it catches a weed, I have to go out, take it off. It's a nuisance, so I'd rather just spend half an hour with the weed whacker, clean it up, and then it's good for a couple of weeks. Because we are in an area right now where we're getting a fly pretty much every day. The month of September is always heavenly. And then the month of October, a lot of times you can get halfway through it before it starts getting where the air is really bad. But we really do get our best month of the year is September. Now another thing that's helped Brian a whole lot is he's been a judge for 2 years. And he's worked with other people that are more experienced judges. And he's to the point now where he's actually helping other people
figure out some of the little idiosyncrasies of judging, so I know that's good. It gives them a little bit better view of how the judges see a stunt pattern. He's got enough windy videos to start his own video library. But I think the big tool, the two big tools are the Strega and the Rojet. Because if he were flying up a less competitive plane right now, you'd be spending a lot of time or wasting a lot of time doing things that aren't making you a better flyer. And we got our, I'm ready to start switching props. I brought all the 4 blades out. I want to marry up the prop to the, well, the RPM. It's wanting to run at a faster RPM with the pipe, of course. And I don't know, again, how much of this is going to be productive, because on a Spitfire, we're more than likely just going to have a header and just live with the fact that it's got the growl. In fact, I kind of like that. To be honest, I like the growl better than the pipe sound. But then having the option of having it quiet like that allows you to fly it at the team trials, which may or may not be an issue in our future. And the problem with the team trials is every year they change the rules. Half of the time they don't know what the current rule is or the future rule, or it changes like you change your underwear. So timers, electric, lines, pull tests, it's all. Sound, the sound thing is now at 92. Just it changes constantly, so. And I'm getting a little too old to get into to that kind of thing. But I do love coming out here every morning and flying. Get my exercise. If I could find a place in the country where it was September all year long, oh, I'd move in a minute. I'd make the kids move too, so Karen would be happy. Anyway, I really am impressed with how Brian has come along. But it shows you when you have good equipment, you really can make a lot of progress. And if your equipment is holding you back, boy, is it a nuisance. Now, I'm not sure we're going to get any footage because of this overcast condition. What I do is I put the backlight on, and sometimes it works, sometimes you get good footage, sometimes you don't. We'll go put the camera downwind and see what we get. Well, I'm not sure we're going to get a good camera position. Nice hat. But we always try to use the day however we can. And actually, it looks like it may rain. There's no prediction of rain today, which almost guarantees we're going to have rain. I'm going to start with the prop that worked in Texas, the 4-blade. I had flown that yesterday. It looked like it was in the ballpark. And I have 2 or 3 other ones, a little more pitch, a little less pitch. I'm just going to cycle through the day and see which one works the best. But again, the conditions here, the air right now is not real good. It's cycling between dead and moving, and you'll see maneuvers all over the place. Now that was our warm-up flight, and the original prop that we had that we were using was a little bit low on pitch. Now, as the day went on, I had several of these props to try, and I was trying to see how lean I can get the engine before it goes, you know, where that tank shim becomes a factor. Now see, if you run the engine rich like that, the tank shim is not really a big factor, but as you get further and further into the 2.4 brake, the lean side gets way too lean, and that's what happened on the next flight. Now the unfortunate thing when you get a lean run like that is the maneuvers get all distorted and you lose your timing very quickly. So one thing I noticed, one of the differences with the pipe as opposed to the header is when you get a lean run, it really picks up in power. That 2-cycle power is just way more than with the header, but that's not necessarily an advantage. I mean, and in a lot of ways, it's a big disadvantage to have, because we're really overpowering it in a 2-cycle now. So what we did, I think we got one more flight on this, and at the end of the day, we had one that was pretty acceptable, but I really had, after this flight, had lost all my timing. That was just getting away from me. But this is how things get developed. They don't get developed. They don't jump out of the box. That's the problem with everything. Takes time, takes work, takes energy. Now that was the best run I was able to get for this this day of flying. The weather was going downhill in a hurry for number one. It looked like rain was moving in. But another couple of things, and it jumps out at me after reviewing these flights again and again, is how much the tank shim affects this plane. And the tank shim is still that it's leaner outside than inside, and it's one of the things we have to straighten out before we can go to the next level. We have to be able to get the engine more equal, upright, and inverted. Otherwise, the outside part of the maneuvers gets too racy. The inside part is too rich. We can't really zero in on exactly how we want to run it. It's something that with a pipe, the tank shim changes, and we're bottomed out now. We need to be able to change it, move it further off the mounts for this particular plane. And I'm still not sure why, but it is. That's a fact, and we got to live with it. Now that was the best run I was able to get for this this day of flying. The weather was going downhill in a hurry for number one. It looked like rain was moving in. But another couple of things, and it jumps out at me after reviewing these flights again and again, is how much the tank shim affects this plane. And the tank shim is still that it's leaner outside than inside, and it's one of the things we have to straighten out before we can go to the next level. We have to be able to get the engine more equal, upright, and inverted. Otherwise, the outside part of the maneuvers gets too racy. The inside part is too rich. We can't really zero in on exactly how we want to run it. It's something that with a pipe, the tank shim changes, and we're bottomed out now. We need to be able to change it, move it further off the mounts for this particular plane. And I'm still not sure why, but it is. That's a fact, and we got to live with it. Now the sun is coming up, the breeze is coming up. And we ran into a couple of problems we really didn't anticipate. First off, the thing I underestimated was the plane is now tail heavy, and you can see it's got a lot of little funny things that I'm probably going to have to make the handle smaller if I'm going to use this pipe. I want to do one more test today. I want to try the pipe pressure. We had a lean run, a rich run, and zeroing in on a needle is difficult because the air is changing by the minute. Brian, I think, is done flying, but I'm not sure. So what I'm going to do is set this up so I can run it a couple times on pipe pressure, just for my own information. But the problem is with the pipe, the tank definitely needs to be shimmed further away from the mounts, probably another 1/8 inch or so, because I can see there's spots where it's got its 2/4 brake on outside but not on inside, and it's well, this is why we do the test. But that's why I put the little fitting on there so we could test pipe pressure, and that's the next thing we're going to test. And it looks like the sun is peeking out. Oh, we may have some sun here. Now I'm really glad we gave ourselves the opportunity to test this, because we know the tank shim is wrong, and we know the CG is wrong, and the handle's wrong, but we can test the pipe pressure. Now I hope I got a piece of tubing that's long enough here. Oh yeah, okay. Smart, Windy, very smart boy. Anyway, what the next thing is we're just gonna, because we've lost the air for the day for sure, it probably would be just to my advantage to see how this runs on pipe pressure. And I want to put a fitting in the header so that I can run muffler pressure on the header too. The hell's the pressure fitting? Guess what, Chicky? No pressure fitting. Yeah, I'm going to run pipe pressure. I don't have a pressure fitting. Ah!
You thought of everything.
I put it in the Testarossa, not this one. That was stupid. Okay, so much for Wendy and his genius.
Shut up and adjust.
Stop being a baby, just fly the damn thing. Okay, so we don't have pipe pressure. Not in this one, I put it in a Testarossa. Shows you what I know. See, just when you think you're smart. Unbelievable, we gotta put that in there anyway. Okay.
Put that Allen wrench.
You need it to take the back off the plane.
Shit, I didn't know they made them.
$20 Allen wrench. Whatever the hell it is. To get the back off the plane and to get in through the box, the screws that hold the bulkhead.
You had to put that handle on there? You bought it that way?
No, it's the way it came. It's the way it came. Well, we got a pressure line. We got everything except the pressure fit. Oh,
You don't have the pressure thing on it.
no! I put it on the other plane. Well, that ain't gonna happen. Dumb is as dumb does. Now, see, if Rich did that or John, I'd be all wild and when I do it, but that's the adventure of the Novanta. No pressure fitting. Oh, unbelievable. Well, that was pretty funny. I know you think, well, that kind of stuff never happens. It happens all the time. So we're gonna go home. We gotta do a tank shim on this. I'm gonna make a list. Tank shim, pressure fitting on the pipe, give us some more choices. But I'm not sure any of the footage came out today because it's so gloomy out here. The sun is just starting to come out now. So, anyway, but this guy really never gets as dirty as the other one used to. But I'm gonna set it up so I have the choice of running pipe pressure. That's the next step. And get the tank shim for the pipe. And that should be, well, at least one more shop day. I'm not sure we're going to be able to capture this little adventure, but on video, but Brian was flying before. Brian had the last flight, and a butterfly kept flying right into the circle, right where his maneuvers were, and as he'd fly by, blow him away. Now, of course, the monarch butterflies are all over the place here. Now there's another one out there chasing John, and by the time I ran and got the camera, I'm not sure where he is. But they keep coming back. I'm not sure if they think the planes are their boyfriends or something. I don't know, but they're out here. And I wanted to clean up where the stooges. There's all weeds growing up there, and I've been catching my lines on them, so we'll use part of this day to do the field maintenance. See what happens, these weeds. And they are tenacious. And once you catch a line on them, you almost always have to make a set of lines. Okay, there he is again. Oh, is John getting him? Oh, John just blew him off the field. This poor guy, he keeps coming. Maybe it's the same butterfly. Boy, you had a whole stunt pattern. He was watching your intersections on every maneuver.
We used to have his kids into a tree, which kind of protected him from the elephant we kept pushing.
Our butterfly has been back and forth. I just can't seem to get him on video yet. Here in the middle of a great flying day, it's raining. What's this all about? What is this? Sun showers? I don't know if we got to pull the planes in. We don't want the planes to get wet. It's raining. It's literally raining on our parade here today. There was no rain in the forecast whatsoever. They lied. Yeah, because the air is basically gone and we're getting raindrops from time to time. We decided we're going to go down the other field, mow the grass, do the maintenance over there. We're trying to keep our presence. And we all got some flights this morning, so it was not a waste of time. But As opposed to yesterday that was a stun heaven day all day. Today was like a third of a day. It was a good day to get the maintenance done. And as you know, we have to maintain our own fields. Nobody comes and does this for us, that's for sure. And one of the things we really liked about this field, we've used this a good part of the summer, even though it was a lot of maintenance. See, they're going to park on our field while they're having these social soccer games or football games. But we had free use of the field as long as we maintained it. And I think what they want to do is just clean it up today and mow the grass and whatever. We'll see. We definitely want to maintain our presence here, that's for sure. Actually, the people parking here were pretty respectful. I'm impressed. That was pretty good. I thought they got that blocked off. I thought they'd give us a hard time. I don't think there's a problem at all. So I think what Brian wants to do, we're going to weed whack and just cut the grass. Yeah, bada bing's over there. The reason we need to keep this field is from time to time, they have these things that like the firemen use our other field. And we go there on a Saturday and there's fire trucks. They have these contests for firemen or something. And this way at least we have a backup site to fly in. And this is basically why we fly every chance we get this time of year, because today was a day there was no chance of rain. And we had some maintenance to do. Actually, Brian's got the last shift on the mower here. John's already left. But it's this time of year. We get stun heaven one day and the next day raindrops keep falling on my head. But we did get some flights today. So I really, this time of year, I try never to complain. Because you never do know. Like a lot of things in life, you just never know when it's coming to an end. And boy, when I think back to this summer, how many flights we got on this field? Literally hundreds of flights. But even on the ride home, I always try to evaluate that we really did get something accomplished today. And we have a list of things we want to do to the 90 ship now. So even if we have a couple of rainy days in the week coming up, we'll be able to get some more things tested. And it's good to know that as we change from header to pipe, what changes have to be made. And well, that tank shim has always been a problem right from the get-go in this plane, and I'm not sure why, but we're going to have to make some modifications to it, but we'll just roll with the punches. And hey, and every day we have that's sunny in stun heaven, we are going to fly, because you never know when it turns out like this. And it happens in a heartbeat, and it's over. Now, while it's pouring out there, I needed to just go over this in my mind a few times. I've been trying to come up with what I hope is a better flap adjusting system than we have on the last two planes. The system that we have is doable, but boy, it's not my first choice. I've got to come up with something better. And I've spoken to several people that should be able to contribute to that, but the problem is I still haven't made a real decision, because on this plane it's going to be even more critical. We have to deal with the fact that we have dihedral and sweep both at the same time. Unlike the Tiger Cat where you only have sweep. Now Al's plane, and of course this is why I'm up here thinking this through here, Al has a totally different system. But I know when we start this project, and it's probably going to be about a month from now, we're going to have several days of Joe coming up here, and
We got the wood laying on the floor, and we've got some of the specs Joe wants to work with. We got the drawings done, but the nagging thing that I just haven't been able to finalize in my mind is that flap adjuster. That's right now. That's really making me lose sleep at night, because I want to come up with a better system. I really want to have something that's better than what we already have. And on a rainy day like this, I like to do my little think tank, come up here and just look at the planes and think, you know, and I'm hoping one of these days a light's going to go off in my head and I'm going to say, oh yeah, that'll work. Well, the light hasn't gone off yet. That's the problem. And as I look back over the years of flying the Spitfires, and every one of them won the concourse every time, every one of them made the top 5 every time, so we have a real good history to follow. And so I don't want to skimp on anything. I don't want to take some hodgepodge way of doing it. And I really do want to come up with something special, and something I can replicate for Joe, of course, too. But as of today, I don't have it in my mind. It's like that pressure fitting on a pipe. I just don't have it solid in my mind. But what that really means is I got to knuckle down and start thinking about this. I got to think a lot harder, because that is, and on a day like today, and it's pouring out there, there's no way we're going to do anything outside today. This what should have been a sunny day turned into a just rain all day day. But every time I find one of these challenging days, I just keep thinking, got to come up with some kind of better challenge, some better answer. We need a better answer here. So the bottom line here is, if anybody has any great ideas, but feel free to send them in. And in the meantime, I'll just keep plugging away in my mind and trying to think of. Actually, I even talked to Keith Trossel about this while we were at the team trials. And he had some idea. He was drawing it out for me, and how he had push rods and things going here and there. And I said, how'd it work? And in the end, he said it didn't work. So, well, that's one of our challenges. We have about a month to think about it. But on a day like today, when it's raining all day, and there's nothing better than a half hour, an hour to just run the trains and clear your mind. Weather doesn't matter in model railroad. Yeah, there's one place in the world, only one place I know of, where it never rains, where it's always stun heaven, and this is it.
Now today, even though the parking lot's flooded, we're going to have a football game or something here, so we got to get our flights in early. Well, I guess there's nothing better than to start the day off with a nice lean run where it's nice and cool. It's actually pretty cool. The problem is, again, having this sport, I don't know what it is, a soccer game or something, people are already piling in here, and it gets dangerous to fly because they just drive right out, even though we have ropes and barrels. So this probably will be a very short day. Brian's ground running his T-Bird here. I don't know what he's doing. Trying to get it ready for some more trim flight. This is a relatively new plane he has. That's why he's running it like this.
Testing it?
Testing it, yes.
So you use this on most of your own airplanes?
Yeah, mostly all, yeah. You can look at that DVD and you can see what we do. This is it's the same simple that we had the contest last week.
Last week?
Yeah, that was last week. Right here where you are. There's nothing better than the morning bet as to whether Brian's going to have a penguin or a no penguin day. It's the topic of the day.
Oh, penguin
One
or no
flip.
penguin day. Whether it flies or don't, right?
Now this guy is so good, he can start the motor with one flip. Don't get too close. Just stay by the bench, you'll be better off. But if you watch, he's the only one here can start the motor with one flip. He's like a ninja.
And right
He
now,
talks to the motor.
I better put some Ronson in.
right now his plane is being stubborn.
He's a ninja. Oh, the ninja's going for his secret trick. More geese. The geese almost got the Tavio before. You saw that, right? Yeah, they're coming back here. Get out of here! Go to Canada.
It's the first day of fall.
Oh, man. The geese were everywhere.
Underneath the grave part.
And no butterflies today. I didn't see a single butterfly here. Like you killed them.
It's a little breezy for them.
Cleaned them out yesterday. One flip. Here we go, Ninja. One flip. Ready? One flipper. Go ahead. I got it. One flipper!
I think I know how he does it.
He's a ninja.
It's not as bad.
He's a black belt karate, you know. Black belt. He used to be a brown belt, then he bought a black belt. He really cheats because he's a car mechanic, so he knows all about stuff like that.
I think I know how he does the one flipper.
We call him a penguin. A penguin has a penguin with one leg is a one flipper.
Yeah, but then the one flipper, you start doing one flip. When you guys do it, you only do it quarter way. When he does it, he does it halfway down, straight down the middle.
Yeah, he's good. We call him the Ninja. Ninja Turtle. What are they having, a soccer game here today? Why is everybody here?
Baseball.
Baseball? Okay, they won't start this early. We'll get another half an hour or so.
They're playing baseball.
Once the lot fills up, we're in trouble.
No, we're not. They stay out of our. They got to stay out of our area. Until we leave. Once we leave.
Yeah, we'll be out in an hour. Actually, I'm glad we got here early this morning.
Yeah.
What time is it?
No, about 7 maybe. When you get here too early, the sun is in your eyes.
Oh, isn't it?
And John doesn't like the sun in his eyes.
You notice it wasn't for the fact that these are model planes. Everybody, these guys would probably have been labeled public servant.
Well, I don't know. Not a lot of young kids come over here and want to see about model planes. So when we find one, we usually give them a good beating. Take them out in the back and throw them to the geese.
Hey.
How old are you?
Only 12.
12 is good. That's a good age. I wish I was 12.
You don't know. I've been calling you while it lasts.
Enjoy it, because when you're 62, it's not the same, believe me. So you built some solid model planes that they don't fly, they're just for show?
Yeah.
Well, next time you come out, bring me and show me. You can carry them, right?
Yeah. My attach is only half done.
Oh, okay.
Tail goes not installed. Rear landing gear is not installed.
Oh, okay.
And rockets are not installed. The other one's done in my woodhouse. Your single bomb loader off. I use way too much for that, so even if they could fly, it wouldn't. It just crashed right down.
I have a collection of plastic models that a guy made for me of bombers, World War II bombers. They're like little treasures because they're so detailed.
Right down to the dashboard?
Everything. Even the bombs have little decals on them and stuff. When you turn them upside down, you could look inside and see the bomb load. Inside where the wheels retract is all detailed. Pretty neat stuff.
All of you guys are like 62?
No, John's 85. I'm the youngest. No, Brian's the youngest one here.
How old is he?
I think 48, 47, 48. He's got young children still.
So the two of you guys were around during World War II.
That's right. Our name is the Wild Hogs. You know the movie with John Travolta? Go see that movie, The Wild Hogs. That's what we are, the Wild Model Airplane Hogs. The Brian Manow Hog.
If you guys...
I get it, John. John, I get it.
Yeah, no, constantly running around against the scraping attacks. Constantly running around.
learning. The air is getting so funky. Toward the end of that flight, the air was moving over, and I wanted to see if I could stay there, but eventually I just gave in at the end of the flight. Anyway, we had a young man and his father here before that they looked like they had generated some interest in him. I gave him some DVDs and brought his father over, and we're going to try to get him a flying lesson in the near future. Now the trouble with a day like today is because the sun, because people have filled up the parking lot, there's no place to put the camera that's going to work well for us. But whatever it is, we'll try to get some footage today, that's for sure. Now I try to dedicate a block of time. It's supposed to rain this week for 3 days, heavy rain. So I'm going to try to dedicate doing that Navanta tank sim modification. Try to get out and fly a couple of days. The Testarossa still needs a tiny tank shim. I'm not sure why, but I'm very fussy about where that tank shim is. Very fussy. And I got 2 or 3 more props to try on a Testarossa, and then this weekend coming up from next is going to be the Flushing meet. So we haven't been out there because the last 2 years it's poured rain. We never even went out, so we're looking forward to seeing it. As the day is wearing on, we thought it was going to be a shorter day. They're already playing baseball, so we're just going to, until they start invading our space, we're going to keep playing. But the problem is the wind is moving incrementally toward the sun, and once it goes there, it's very, very difficult to be flying into a dark background where the sun is in the eye.
know, it's a problem, you know. So I disconnected from the box, and I said, man, this is going to make it right to the main.
Don't even tell me.
It comes up this much too. I had to pull it out.
Brian and I both have things to do by the house, so we're going to cut the session a little short, but still a good session. Still better than being home, that's for sure.
That's just the way
I hear those boats over there, Brian.
Yeah.
Brian's dying to go over and get his racing boat out of. All right, we're gonna run over and look at the racing boats. It's a pleasure not having a white ball at all. Now I just noticed today, not that this really matters, but Brian's plane is now bleeding out of this vent too. So look in the near future from the running muffler pressure. Oh. Yeah, we still got a puddle from the other day. Anyway, if you look way down on the other end of this road is where the racing boats are, and I hear engines. And so we've had, I guess, made the most of the morning. The baseball crowd's already gone, and we're gonna go see the boats. Well, let's go see what the boating guys are doing down here. Oh, Brian's already down here. So maybe they have some kind of a meet or something today. The guy with the Harley was down watching us fly all morning. I guess he's up here with his buddies, the boat guys. We always enjoy watching them. Two engines? Wow, look at the pipes. Two pipes.
Nice little pull
Look
stop.
at those engines. Oh my God, look at this, twins.
I wonder who makes them.
That's some fancy looking.
Ain't no weed whacker engine.
No. That's when you really want to whack the weeds.
That's just a cooling head on the water cooler. Bolts to the other thing.
Now obviously they're not geared together. They each run independent. We've got another one started up here. I guess you don't want to stick your finger in that prop either. Yeah, I know, it's cool. One thing good, you don't have to worry about the people driving over your stuff here.
You see, I let you crash.
Somebody drives over this, they're in trouble. Look at the pressure on this, Bri. These pipes. So they're side exhaust engines. Now that's a real tuned pipe, that's not a stunt pipe.
It really hasn't drifted very far.
Actually, they got a nice spot for doing this. This water is usually pretty good. You know, it's not choppy and everything like if you were in Greenwood Lake or something.
Yeah, that's just not what I'm saying. That thing really hasn't moved from where it was.
No.
Drifting like,
And I guess they got the radios sealed, so you don't wind up getting the radio wet. And they got enough flotation and foam flotation, so it's not going to sink like a real boat. The pilots look pretty cool too. The drivers.
Wakes up the air. He's working on a little breeze. It used to be in the world. It was in the country about 10 minutes ago.
you get,
What are they, like a gallon fuel tanks there, or half a gallon or something? Quart? I mean, they got the opening that you could fill it with a 5-gallon bucket, not a not a fuel pump.
They get us some of these so we get something to do when we get the air picks up.
Well, they get the same problem when the water kicks up, so it's no big deal. The only guys that are safe are the model train guys.
The air hasn't laid down. You feel that. They get picked up.
Yeah, see, they have the blue foam flotation in there. It's hard to believe that, Bri, after what we do, that an engine that big is turning a prop that small.
yeah, but look at the pitch.
Yeah, I know. The pitch, it's going through liquid, not air, too.
Some load on it.
That's a nice one. The paint on that is real nice. Yep, the only guys that are safe when you have a model railroad, the weather doesn't matter. The air, the water, the temperature. In my case, the room is air conditioned and heated. If only that were true about planes and boats. It's cool. They all got their own little, it's like a stand to sit them on. Pretty neat.
Easy to get in.
You know, with a weed whacker, all you need is one guy to
I know.
pull the
Tell
cord.
him, Joe. Tell him. You want?
This one works the other way.
Okay, we need two then.
Hit the hatch cover.
You can actually feel the pulses from the tuned pipe. You can feel like little puff balls hitting you. Same as on a racing motorcycle.
He opened the plug up there, less than compression, I guess, so it can plug it, huh?
They do that with we saw them do that at the, with the, yeah. We saw them do that with the ducted fan jets. They take the glow plug and loosen it. Look at this thing coming by.
That thing is,
Oh, that moves. That's a smoker, boy.
how fast that thing's going. That thing's moving.
He's really cranking. He's way faster than the other guys, whatever the reason is. You don't need judges in this event. I guess they just put up pylons. It's hard to even follow it with the camera. Now that's a real tune pipe. When you could feel those pulses coming out of there. I don't think they'd be interested in stunt pipes in this event. Flip?
We got it in.
Hmm?
I shut it down before it dumped. John, I'll get it. No, it's yours. It's okay. You can't take it.
You can monitor miles per hour on it.
Those pipes sound nasty, boy. They remind me of the old, you know, when I was racing motorcycles, you didn't need any silencers at all. And that's what they sounded like. The Yamahas and that sounded just like that. No difference.
62 miles an hour, I think.
62?
He must have some kind of speed recorder in that thing.
Nah, this one's cranking. Well, they're tuning them, I guess, as they go.
Yeah, it's not as...
Nah, the white one's faster.
I didn't hear you. 2.8, so it's close to 63.
Yeah, I heard you saying?
On the 62.
Yeah, it is an OPS too. Right?
OPS, yeah.
Look at the phone.
It cranked 65 this morning. That's why we're still chasing. I don't know.
Is that a dedicated boat engine, or do you convert like the jet engines? Or
That's a marine. OPS.
dedicated, right? You just buy it that way.
Right, that's it. That's it. You might modify it, but it's basically the same engine that they sell.
Yeah, I can see you got a water-cooled head on there and everything.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they come with water-cooled heads, you know, right from the factory. But we enlarge them, make them a little bit bigger, flow a little more water through them. Some people say it's really no good to do that, you know, because you keep some more heat in the chamber. But
Yeah, well, this head, yeah, the head was exposed in this, so it'll probably be alright. Cool. Thing was hauling in.
Yeah, and see where the water's going in right by the exhaust too, to keep it cool.
it comes in right from the rudder.
Okay, I see.
It goes up the top, and then
So it's pressurized there already, and it just flows through the engine and comes out.
You can see it coming out the side. There's a port. There's a stainless pipe that comes
Yeah.
out the side.
And how big displacement is that?
That's an 80. That's an 80. You got a 67, same boat, a little bit heavier, in fact, and we used to roll like 57 miles an hour, but I built this one because I wanted to see if the 80 had that much of a difference. And I didn't really think so. I just put the GPS in it this week. And like I said, this morning it cracked 65. So
It looked like it was moving.
This one looked the fastest in, to me anyway.
not
In my prejudicial way.
No, because you got to watch. You get the wind bars coming down the back river.
Just like a real boat.
Yeah, it just
Take
blow
off.
right over. Right.
You still have guys in the event that build their own engines from scratch?
No, none of us were that talented.
No.
Giovanni used to do that. He used to, you know, make pieces for engines, but
Oh,
he
okay.
wouldn't necessarily, you know, build them from scratch.
Yeah. In our event, Dub Jet is the one. They make the case machined from one piece of billet.
Well,
Now,
you gotta
we
be-
can't really do that. You know?
Hey, you're lucky I got a drill press in the garage. You know,
I hear that.
CNC.
Well, you don't want to stick your hand in that prop or put your undershirt or something in there.
balance, you know. Heat racing and Wales. We used to two different types of racing, right? But yeah, all the boats would be segregated if they had displacement.
What kind of money you got tied up in this thing?
Oh, I don't even like to think about it.
That's the question when your wife asks you. You say,
That's an honest answer to you. I don't know. I don't want to know.
ask him about the Harley. How much you got tied up in? You want a new one? Cheap.
I usually tell my wife not that much.
Yeah. And you get it all back when you sell it too.
Yeah, right. Sure you do.
You gotta ask. You can't afford it.
When you sell your ARF, you always get your money back.
If you're going to count every penny you put into one, forget about it.
Nah.
I was just curious, you know. I mean, is it 1,000, 12?
It's like asking a drunk, how many drinks have you had? You know, if you got to ask you really don't want to know.
That's for sure.
And sometimes they're a pain in the ass. They really are. You come out of here, and last week I put on a bigger prop, and I wanted to try it. It was a nice stainless prop. I balanced it. I cut it down. I said, if it really starts cranking consistent, I'm going to put this prop on. I put it on and make a half a lap. The prop, I lost shaft, prop, strut bushing.
See, that never happens to me.
I tell you, I was just out fishing the other one about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And the gas motor running all gas and going to bring the electric in. And I'm almost to the top and I see the prop go shooting off. I'm like 15 feet away from the trailer. I'm telling my buddy that the prop is wet. I just see it helicoptering down.
I thought it was the ferrule, a tapered ferrule that actually holds the shaft in. So I thought when it only went a half a lap. I think maybe it's the load to pick a prop. And, so when I got it home, I ordered a shaft, and of course you don't order one, you have two. $22 pop, and the prop and the balancing and everything. That's what really hurts, you know, all the time you spent doing that.
Those props cost how much? 22 bucks?
No, the props are, you can buy them for like $15, $16, but you got to invest maybe a couple of hours, 3 hours.
No, that's what we do. We got $40 props, and we tweaking them and cutting them and pitching them.
And what works the best, stainless or brass?
Stainless is actually more malleable. I mean, if you whack something, you stand a good chance of being able to straighten it out, rebalance it, file it, do it. Bronze, not so much, but performance-wise, in a real boat world, everybody will tell you stainless, because what they do is they manufacture the blades thinner, so they get more efficiency out of them than a bronze would in a real. But in a small, it's very hard to, you know.
Yeah, and no carbon fiber at all.
No.
Nobody uses it.
No.
That would I can picture from just looking at the prop. I don't think so.
No, the only thing with the stainless is they're
a lot more load.
Oh yeah.
The stainless are a lot more difficult to balance because of the material, you know, taking it off.
Yeah, and I guess the balance is critical when you get down to that RPM.
Well, you see a lot of guys, some guys don't even balance them, you know, but they're usually not sharp.
We have guys in planes, they don't take the price tag off.
It's all about longevity though, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, you got a shaft coming through there, you're just putting stress on everything.
Right.
The guys are bitching that their planes are vibrating. They don't even take the price tag off, you know, and it's not balanced plus the price tag.
And it's amazing the way, I mean, like I said, the 3 blades are unbelievable. They're the world's worst. Because, you know, you'll be getting it, and then all of a sudden it'll flop the other way, and you start making them out of balance, and then try to bring them back in balance. And you just spend hours doing it, you know. Then finally, when you get everything nice, then you try to polish them up, and you know.
Yeah, then you hit a stick with it or something.
When I half a lap, gone.
Gone.
The whole thing was, when I lost the shaft, I thought it was me. Just, you know, I didn't tighten the ferrule enough.
Oh.
But it wasn't. So I went to put the new shaft in, and it went over there. I thought the stubble was probably the maximum for it. Yeah.
Guy just told us he hit a turtle with the boat. Hitting a turtle. Now I gotta tell you, we hit butterflies and birds, but we never hit a turtle.
Yeah.
I've never hit a turtle yet. That's pretty cool. Hey, you don't want to get your finger caught in that prop. Oh man, like a meat cleaver. When you stand behind that tune pipe, you can actually feel the pulses coming out of it. It's unbelievable. Guess this guy's doing some kind of tuning on it.
Normal, but you get the right color and everything, man, you say, oh my God. No, my boss
You don't want to get your shirt caught in that prop. Anybody ever get their shirt caught in a prop? I don't think it'd be an accident, just take your shirt off. Well, you guys don't actually touch the prop. See, we have to touch it. No, we flip it by hand. Real men, you'll lose their fingertips.
We got a glove or something like that. But for the most part, we start on 1 or 2 flips.
A couple of weeks ago, we had a guy stick his hand in.
Guys get cut, you know what I mean? This season I had my big baby shirt on, I shredded the shirt. But I mean, it didn't even stop the motor. You know, it was like, whoa.
Lampione put his finger in, one of the guys, and didn't even slow the motor down. 4 hours in the hospital, gets stitched up.
Anything with that much inertia. Worst that he said we don't touch the props, and he had no, but sometimes if you expect an engine running backwards, I don't think it's a flip, but it's real heavy. It's like 25 pounds.
Wow.
But what's amazing is he built it, and usually a twin engine boats are a real pain in the ass, especially micro engines. But he built it, threw it in the water, made a couple of minor adjustments, and the thing has been running week after week. It's just running. He fires one, shuts it down, fires the other one, lets it go, and then goes back to this one, fires it up, puts it in the water.
How do you attack these things? Right off the ignition coil?
No, I don't.
I mean,
exactly.
with twins, you could have technically, you know, the pitches were different, it's not the adjustment to do it. It has to be profitable enough for somebody to want to do it, and it's never is. You know?
No, I mean, I make this stuff. You can't make any kind of real money. Yeah.
How about the guy, there's a guy in France that runs 4-strokes, you know,
Can you figure what, maybe 5.5 per motor?
Well, yeah, with desire.
It must go.
How you doing?
It's cool. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
$20 in each tank.
More good stuff too.
How much does it burn per hour?
You got to ask. You really don't want to know this stuff. Don't let your wife know either.
No, she already told me. Are you having fun? Good. You got to come home.
Notice I don't have a cell phone. Emergencies at home don't exist.
I could just drop mine in the water. I don't know what happened to it. That's not recording, is it?
Of course. Anytime I take my twin engine airplane out, you be prepared for a pain in the ass. Something always happens.
What kind of plane?
It's on that guy's shirt. It's on the front of his shirt.
I just saw,
He's dropping Mike, we got trouble.
which was it? Hangar 9 came out with it. It's like a B-17.
Anybody on
4
64?
engine?
No, just 2.
I think you got it there, Mike.
You just switched it on, Mike?
Yeah.
Pine buoy.
That was pretty hairy. Maybe he hit a turtle.
Pay me enough in February, I'll see it gets best to show.
One goes one way, one goes the other, yeah? You can make them work today. Both work.
Here's a question. I got rid of the, is that, what carburetor is that? Yeah, I got the same carburetor.
Well, I would imagine, though, it's a factor. If you're looking to get X amount of speed out of here, you're going to lose, you know.
If you look at this boat and you look at the one that I built, I built it probably 10 years ago. And it's a 67, it's a little smaller diameter. If you look at the two of them, they look pretty much the same, but if you pick them up, it's a big difference.
I hear you telling me. I wasn't.
Brian, is that heavier than Krug's Pattern Master?
I don't know. It's close.
It's closer.
Nice. It's got some weight to it.
Yeah, no kidding.
See, Mike's on a special weight program, so he could pick that boat up.
I bought an old stick off one of our older club members, and this thing was like from 1980 out of that like wood, the door material. And I put it was a US 42cc motor in it, and it just had enough power to just get it off the ground.
You see some heavy RC ships.
Oh yeah, that Connie that was at in Muncie last week, 2 weeks ago.
But I still remember the first flight. I ran like a tank of gas through the motor just to kind of break it in, and I just cleared the field and it caught the grass, and it was so heavy it just sank back down.
But you know what, Brian, there's something about twin engine things. There's just something about twins. I don't know what it is.
This thing's
hard to define.
This thing's cranking.
So you say we got good air today?
Good air, but not good water. But good liquor.
So we should really be richening them up.
I'm not into that, but
It's 92. If you want, I'll go get the air density gauge. It's good air, believe me. It's not in the 80s, I know that.
This may be, we'll see what happens.
It's always something bigger, better, whatever.
Looks okay.
Yeah, but put the internal.
All this other stuff. I got a 250 for me that was
Shaver?
on sale for like $880.
Yeah, I guess.
So in total for both, I spent $1,700 for ship, and it's coming like sometime next week.
Just put it on top there.
Yeah.
Here's your new one. No,
No.
you didn't get it out.
Yeah.
I started this stuff with
How many runs you get out of a plug typically?
Sometimes they last a long time. And there's other times when the mixture's wrong, goodbye. One run, that's it, toss it away.
One run. $5 or $6, gone.
We get annoyed if we don't get 2 seasons out of a plug.
Really?
50, 60 gallons typically, yeah.
That's sickening.
Well, but the motors aren't working hard. That's the whole, they're not working like this.
If we get a couple of Sundays out of them, you know, we're usually pretty lucky.
Except the battery. So it's kind of like,
I know. Suck. You got room. Radio on?
Put me right. I don't know. I don't know.
Too much on the needle?
Actually, I took it back before we launched it, but basically where we were.
Kids usually miles around.
Let's take a look at that plug.
Yeah, right.
It's hard. I mean, I look at it. I didn't know. And she didn't know
It's fine.
What channel are you, John?
I don't know. Oh, what the hell's going on?
Then she got a job in the school system.
88?
What?
What channel?
83. And now I look at it and say, I wonder how to work. You came up all the way?
No, my son's 8 years. He's 8.
So we did 26 miles an hour, so I know it's telling you the real story.
It's good because he's around other kids, and he's very structured. They do everything.
Dr. Clark? I did
Huh?
my kids into this preschool.
It cost me about $220 to go around.
No, so I mean, it's for me, it's money well spent.
Don't you have to suck it in?
You're free to do it if you want.
That's the deck. The deck's 15,000. Take the compression on it.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. I put the seals and zero drag seals. They just cross pushing, so there's no drag on it with the seal.
But I had to
They
have
leak
it
a little bit. So you can see they leak a little bit.
Exactly like planes. Something's always in the filter. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Seems
when I
fine.
was a kid, man.
You would think there's no dirt in the water.
Oh, no, there is. There is analogy in there.
Turtle skin or something in there.
Yeah.
I'm feeling better about my plane right now.
Oh, yeah. Hey, let's, I don't know, we'll try again.
What happened?
I gotta.
Boats, planes, model railroading, B-17s, we love them all. The commuters are commuting, the trains are all polished up, and it looks like we got another flying day. And we got some interesting stuff to test today. Now we're coming up on a part of the year, and actually it's not coming up, it's already here, where it's cool in the morning. I mean, we get down into the 50s and 60s, and then later in the day it warms up. But I want to explain one of the things I want to try differently this year than in the past. Now in the past, what we'd always do, if we were running tuned pipes, is as the weather got colder, I'd make up a bunch of little spacers, half-inch, etc., so that I could move the pipe further away from the engine. Typically we run it about between 18 and 19, but sometime 19 and a half. But here's what's happening that I'm going to try to do this year, and I'm thinking about it on the way to the field, is I want to make up a set of pipes where each pipe is a little bit longer, so that I don't have that little spacer. That little spacer adds about a half an ounce because you have to have the coupler longer. So I'm trying to use up some of this commuting time to think about how I want to do this. And it looks like a beautiful day, but again, we get stuck in traffic every morning here. And I like to use this time to my advantage. Now I want to think about how I want to do this. I have a couple of pipes today that are various lengths. Because early in the morning, what happens when you have the pipe short and it's cool in the morning, and it happened yesterday, that first run or two of the day, you can't make the needle rich enough. It just goes ballistic. So we really need to lengthen the pipe up for this cold weather. And maybe once we get this this idea sorted out in our mind here, and I like to use this, again, it's just dead time sitting in traffic on the way to the field. This is not like Ramo where you just go to the field. There's sometimes 45 minutes to get to the field, and I can use it to think about what I want to do that day. Sometimes I even make little notes and what I want to try to accomplish. And today, I hope the weather's going to hold up. We're going to work on the pipe setups. Maybe some good information you could use as we sit in traffic. Now what's funny is we're coming up on that part of the year. We're in the morning, it's cool, and I bet these guys are wearing jackets or long sleeve shirts or something. Maybe not, but if they're not, they're gonna be wearing them soon. And I remember last year or the year before, this time of year, every morning, I'd be fooling around on the first couple of runs trying to get my run back. And what I really should have been doing is just, well, we're going to try to do it this year, is just make a pipe that's a little bit longer, a little bit less power to deal with these cooler mornings. Look at that, beautiful. Now, I was in traffic 45 minutes coming here thinking about this, but it's already warmed up. But when we were getting here earlier, and I'm thinking like in 7 or 8 o'clock, this is really coming up on 9 o'clock now. That first hour or so when the air is cool, if you either have one or two choices. You totally re-needle a plane, or in this case, you know, when we know it's not going to go to 90. Hey, that's a lot better, Rich. Hey, all right. I just thought it would be really a good choice to make up an extra pipe. In fact, I made one up and I have it here. It's an older pipe. So instead of running 18 inches, what I'll try to run is 18.5 or 19. So it'll cover that part of the morning where when you get here and you have a jacket on, you don't get that ballistic first couple runs of the day. Now, there's a lot of theory and practice in this, but making the pipe a little bit longer, usually that's what you would do in hot weather. That would be a typical thing, but also if you're using the pipe spike, we're not really using it as a pipe spike. We want it as the pipe just to drop off the power so we don't get those big bursts of 2-cycle power. And whether the theory is correct or not, it doesn't matter. It works in our part of the country. Is just a ½ inch or an inch longer on the pipe, and it softens up the 2-cycle power quite a bit. In that cold morning air, it allows you to have a flight, what normally would be either a dead rich run, and you could do that, but then you lose the motor run. But with the pipe a little bit longer, say down or under 60 degrees, that's really one good way to deal with it. So, well, we'll see how the day plays out. It's supposed to go up into the 80s today, so, but this is what happens this time of year. You have to deal. Now remember yesterday, the guys with the boats, with the real tune pipes, those were just strictly power, make top-end power pipes. You could look at the shape of the back of the cone and how short they were. You know that pipe is there just to make gobs of top-end horsepower. That wouldn't do a stunt ship any good at all. And certainly they were way too loud anyway. But we're using just a little bit different technology, and I don't even know if what we're doing is the right way to do it, but it seems to work, and it works under all conditions. And what usually works for Rich Oliver down there is just making a pipe longer and longer on the 76 or the 67. Well, for us, we need to do that as soon as the weather gets a little colder, because the engines are just making too much power. So whether that's going to work today, yesterday I had one of those fast flights in the beginning of the day. Well, we're going to see. And of course, the good news, anything you do with a pipe, you can always put it right back where it was. A couple of zip ties and 2 minutes of work and you're right back where you were. So it's like changing a prop. And by the way, that's always the other way people do it. They let the motor make a lot of horsepower and take some pitch out of the prop. But what I'm trying to do is just do it several different ways. If nothing else, just to show them on video, to show the possibilities. In cold weather, the plane, first off, it turns a lot better. Motor makes a lot of power, uses a little more fuel. And most of the time, at least here, well, what we're looking for is We want to keep the 2/4 brake and just slow the plane down and still have good line tension. And this is one of the ways of doing it. One of many ways of doing it, by the way. So here's the things you bring. You bring a spare tune pipe that's got the baffle marked. Bring the old 18-inch ruler. And the most important thing, you bring a banana. Because if the tune pipe doesn't work out, you just use the banana. And the single most important thing, a gallon of coffee. Now normally, when it would get a little chillier, and it's really not that chilly this morning, maybe I'm overreacting to this right now, but I want to get prepped up because cooler weather is definitely coming. I never really liked the idea of just running the motor richer and richer and richer until you lose the motor run. And what's happened, that's what John is doing right now. And he's really gone into the point where there's no motor run at all, and to kill off some of the power. But I still want to, I'm starting with the pipe at 18 inches. I'm going to see how far I can back it out before I lose the motor run. Maybe today I'll be able to do it. Or the other choice is I could change the prop. Really don't want to do that either. I'm real happy with the way that prop has been working, especially on some of this turbulent air we've had. What I would like to do is try to find a compromise, a pipe length, and it's probably going to wind up between 18 and 19 inches, where when it's cool I can back out and not lose the motor run, and when it warms up I can go in on a needle and it's still, I don't get that ballistic surge of power that you have in cool weather. Oh, all right, so we're going to start the morning off. We know if I just leave this set where it was the other day, yeah, it's going to be fine. It's a little bit cooler. But what's going to happen is I'm going to back out the needle and see if I can get off of that maximum power without totally losing the motor run. I'll take a couple of flights, then I'll change the pipe length. I don't want to use the spacer, I want to use the longer pipe. I have an 18-inch pipe and a 19-inch pipe. And then I want to make a pipe that's 18 and a half. So I'll have 18, 18 and a half, and 19 for the upcoming weather. Now, I think you can well, you can see, I think I might have gone a little bit too far. I opened up the needle. Because when you open up the needle so far that you're losing the motor run, you're losing the 2-cycle brake, you're losing a good part of the pattern. You're losing something that I think is important anyway. So now, I'll go in a little bit on the needle. I want to find the point at which I've got my 2.4 motor run back. But what's going to happen, not really today, it is not that cool today and it's warming up quickly. At some point in time, right when you have the 2.4 run, the plane is going too fast. At that point in time, that's when you either want to change the prop or make, in our case with this setup, just make the pipe a half to an inch longer. Now, it goes against the theory that as it warms up, the pipe gets longer because the sound wave travels through a less dense medium. But in reality, what's happening, the way we're using the pipe, it's dropping off the pipe then. When it's in its 2-cycle mode, it doesn't have the power spike that it has at the 18-inch range. So this is good information. If you live in it, and it never changes, it's 80 degrees all year long, 90, 70. When it doesn't change, you can get one setup to work pretty good all year long. But we're entering the part of the year where everything better change. Or you wind up with these rich runs with no 2.4 brake, or you wind up, you have a 2.4 brake, the plane is ballistic, or you take all the pitch out of the prop, and then when it warms up, you have no drive overhead. So I'm going to try to spend a little time this year, basically because we have the time and we have these 2 contests left, to try to fine-tune that pipe length to a length where when I get here in the morning, I still have a 2.4 brake. When it warms up to 80, say in the afternoon, or 90, I still have enough of a power spike, a little bit of the power boost, that I have the benefit of having a tuned pipe. But again, we're going to find out. Now, in between these flights that you see on here, we've been coaching Rich, and it looks like he's finally making some real progress. So I'm going to do some of these flights later on in the day of Rich's flight so that he can see the flights. Now I've got a disc for him here today with his flights on it. We're going to find out. See, I think with Rich, he's just got to see these angles and imprint in his mind what they are, and he'll be able to correct it. Where when somebody tells you you're doing so-and-so, you really don't, you say, yeah, you guys don't know what you're doing. But when you see it on video, the camera is very unbiased. The camera doesn't care if you go off on an angle, you do whatever you want to do. And this is why we have the disc. I hope it's going to help Rich. And I'll put the camera downwind later and try to get 3 or 4 Rich's flights dedicated on right in one right after another. And I can stand behind the camera and critique them. That's what I'm trying to do here. Anyway, now he's past the point now, and we're going to be here for 4 or 5 hours, so it doesn't matter. Now I'm trying to get the camera in a good position. Now, obviously what I want to do is go in on a needle a little bit. I want to get back to where I've got my run. But at that point in time, that's when it'll be time to change the pipe, is when I got it right where I want it. And then compare, is it better at 18.5, 19, 18? And today I guess it's going to be okay. It was 64 when I left the house, and it's 74 now, like 2 hours later, so it's going to 80, I know that. All right, Rich Jacobone, we're going to be coaching him this flight. Listen to these comments, Rich. Just want to make sure we got the camera. We can see enough. We don't have to see everything. What Rich is working on, wing over, pull out low. You can reference the trailer truck behind. It was a little high, but that's one of the things Rich is working on. He's got the kink at the top, the patented windy kink. Right in the middle of it, a kink. And we'll talk about that. Now Rich is really trying to knuckle down here at the end of the season. No, they're still high. And I think part of what's happening is, it's not a question of being ground shy. You get used to something. You just get used to being that high. I know it's difficult for me to get them down on a regular basis. I got to really think about it. All right, 3 rounds. We're in dead air. And by the way, the last flight was a kind of a semi-throwaway because halfway through the flight, the air changed 180 degrees. Blew that way, and I think around a vertical 8, you could see the plane just flew away as the wind was changing, but I was determined to stay downwind. We're still on the Rich side of the needle, as Rich Oliver says, framing the needle. We're on the Rich side right now. We've got a little bit of a motor run. We'll go in a little more on the next flight, and he's in dead air now. You got to back up. And this is dangerous here. When it's dead, like this in the morning, this is about the most dangerous it ever gets. Now this is the maneuver we're looking at. I'd say that was better. Oh yeah. Now Rich, I'm impressed. That is better. Now the thing is, can you do that on the square 8? Still, you're within a couple of degrees of having it. The outside square is not a problem, except that it's high. And if the plane had a better motor run, see, he's got no motor run up top. Oh, that's terrible. And you can see, as the plane gets up top, because it doesn't have a motor run, it kind of free flights. Not no motor run, it's got a soft motor run. The engine's got a lot of time on it. There we go, that's better. In fact, this engine brakes harder on inside than outside. Maybe what he should be doing is shimming a tank. All right, here's the big test. This square. These are usually eggs, and John's been on his case. Stretch them out. And when Rich puts the tape on the screen, I know what's going to happen. He's going to say, yeah, it doesn't look that way from inside the circle. Well, that's the problem we all have. I would say this is definitely an improvement. And with Gene Martin, Gene's coming up here in a couple of weeks to share some time, some flying time with us. And Bill Rutherford's coming up very shortly, in 2 weeks. I guess Rich wants to be all tuned up and give him his best face forward. Now that one got worse. See, here's a case of, watch this. Yeah, it's free flighting up there. See, I can see right now, as I'm watching this over and over, it's a combination of a couple of things. But right there, it's free flight. And I think maybe what we'll try to do here is, now let's see. This is where mine flew away last flight. Maybe we'll put another 1/4 ounce of tip weight or some rudder offset or something. See, here's another thing that Rich does not have the option that I have. Rich does not have a Raby rudder. Right now, he could be cranking in a couple of turns of rudder, even if it wasn't a movable rudder. But he has no adjustment on the rudder, so he doesn't have that choice of trim. But I'll bet right now he wishes he did. So it looks like the plane does go soft on that inside square. I think as a test, what we could do, just put in a 1/4 ounce of tip weight for now, just to see if that made it better or worse. Because it looks like that's the only spot in the pattern where it really gets soft. And what happens, here's what happens in dead air. Trim problems that are just a little bit of a problem when the wind is pushing the plane out at the end of the lines. In dead air, those trim issues jump out at you. And I think that's what's happening to Rich. And I think he's going to run out of fuel. Anyway, we'll talk to him about the flight. We'll come back when it's time for my flight. Every time I give somebody one of my plugs, they get shitty runs. So you're next.
I'm next, okay.
All right, let's go, baby.
It's your turn.
Your turn in the barrel. You know, I'm impressed, John. You're learning as quick as I am. It's slow and reverse.
No wonder you give me the goddamn plug. The battery won't stay on the plug.
There you go.
That couldn't be the battery's problem, could it?
No.
Give this guy a battery, Rich.
I got four.
It's like a comedy routine.
Look at that.
Give me a battery. John, you can keep this one.
That's why
Look.
you give me the plug. He
Here.
probably filed the thing
Come
off
on,
of it.
chat. Don't be a baby. Put that on and let's go. We're flying. You're using up my good air. I could have been somebody.
this.
A lousy plug.
Are you recording
Brett,
this?
of course. Brett Buck's getting 30 flights. Howard Rush is flying, and I'm sitting here with Bimbolini with the battery full on him. Now, that battery stays on, doesn't it?
Yeah, because
Let's go. Come
you
on.
got to fix for that lousy plug.
Oh, listen. Oh, not a plug, fella. Oh, I don't believe it.
Yes, it is that plug.
I don't believe it.
It can't be his battery, it's a plug.
It's the battery. This guy filed my plug down when I wasn't looking. You sure you twisted it on all? Johnny. There's no way you could have this much fun. I can't imagine a better group of guys than the Wild Hogs of Rutherford here, Palisade Park. Holy moly. Down and Rich backing up, and I want to spend a good part of this day coaching Rich, so we'll see where this goes. Okay, now here's the bottom line. We want to get another coaching flight for Rich. I was telling him to concentrate on that wing over without the kink in the top. That looks a lot better, by the way. I hope that's something he was trying, you know, spending some effort to do. See, what I'm sure has happened to Rich is over the years, he's gotten very, very used to pulling out at a little high on the wing over. And so now it's like a hard habit to break. It's like going to the refrigerator for a soda. A lot of times you're not even thirsty, you just go to the refrigerator. But I think he's going to work on it. Those top legs looked a lot straighter. The track over didn't have it anywhere near as much of a kink as the first flight. The round loops don't seem to be a problem. You could put the tape on the screen. I don't have any anxiety about Rich's round stuff. Inverted flight, Rich has got that in the bank. He's probably at 6 feet. If he wanted to, he probably could get it down a foot. That probably would work, because you can watch as it goes through the truck. What I do is I went over to the truck and looked at where 6 feet is, and it's about a foot above where the tires are that I'd like to be. Those maneuvers are fine. Now here's the one we really are trying to concentrate on. And I hope after looking at some of this, here we go. It's better, but I'm convinced what happens, there's a trim issue in this plane. Now Rich does not have an adjustable rudder. And he hasn't put the tip weight in yet, but I think that's something worth trying. And again, see how the engine dies right here, watch. It dies. It doesn't come into a 2-cycle and then brake hard. I think that's hurting him too. Triangle could be a little more pointier at the top. Very little. Now these maneuvers, we'd like to see them spread them out this way. They're eggs standing on end. Spread it out, fly it out, way too tight. Spread it out. Now when you look at that on a TV, you're gonna see it's at least a third higher than it is wide, maybe more. And you put the tape up and you can see where your intersection really is. Okay, now this gets worse. When he starts the square 8, it starts flying up. Now see this? It's not as bad when he does the inside square. I'm convinced what would help this plane would be an adjustable rudder. He's looking right into the sun now, so it's a problem. Ah, Butterfly just flew into the circle. You might see him on the video. He's flying out to the middle of the circle right now. See, there's a little bit of kink here, like an overturn right here. It's too far up. I would rather see it come around and just transition, but that's not a hard thing to fix. And Rich has been working on the hourglass, which is... That's a nice one, and he's had some real nice ones. Let's see where he puts the overhead 8. And you won't really be able to see this. Put a piece of tape up on the screen right there. That intersection's off. Well, we're in a bad position here. It looks off because we're not downwind. But I think the biggest thing to work on right now, inside square and square 8. Those are the two that you're going to get some free lunch on. You're going to be able to correct them, and it's not going to be a big problem. Now I'm going to move the camera because I'm going to get a flight, and the wind is starting to shift right into the sun, of course. trying to get in position here, because Rich and I are the only two left at the field. Now, we finally got a 1/4 ounce of tip weight in the plane, and I'm going to stand behind the camera and see if I can see if that improves it. Now, a lot of times, one of the improvements that I found is, even if you have a little too much tip weight, and there's some places where things get nice and solid, up above 45 degrees as an example. Oh, that's the worst one he did. But the track over is a lot better. See, Rich, even though the pullout wasn't good, a lot of the judges are only looking at the track as the #1 thing here. And I told Rich about my system of just planting a foot to try to find that. In other words, when I come back the second time, my foot's already planted, so I try to use the foot as the trip over. Anyway, if these little coaching things are helping everybody, and I hope they are, I know, for instance, Ramo looks at these flights, and it may be, see, a lot of this, it may be that somebody's saying, ah, yeah, you know, this is boring, watching this, but then you pick up one thing that improves your pattern. Yeah, you watch another DVD, blah, 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 you know. If you could find one thing off each DVD that makes you building better or you're flying, then these things are successful. And you've benefited, and I've enjoyed making them. But here's where we're coming up on, where this is going to make a difference now. And by the way, the extra tip weight is even more important if you have a marginal motor run. It band-aids over some of the places. Let's see if he can suck this up now. That's certainly not worse. Now here's what happens. The motor dies at the top of the square 8. Right here. And I don't know why. I'm really not sure. I know this motor has a lot of time on it, so I'm not sure what this is, what the reason is here. Now it's got a real nice run on insides and other places in the pattern, so it's hard to, this is a hard one to figure. Spread it out, Rich, spread it out. Longer, longer. That a wind is shifting now. This may be a problem for us. I'm not sure. We're getting a wind shift right now. And I can't really see this from here, and by the time I move, I can't really move. There's a trailer truck right behind me with the engine running. A diesel truck. I can smell the diesel fuel. But I think even on a day like today, we can make some progress. And even if it's small progress and you're working on it relentlessly, it gets better. Now this is where it should, in theory, get a little bit better. Let's see the vertical 8 if he's going to swirl back. Don't overturn here. Up, he just did. See, that's a built-in habit. He's used to, this is way too far turning. It's turning way too far before it comes around. You get to the middle and turn right down. And when that looks wrong, that's one of the things I worked on this year. When that's wrong and you imprint yourself with that, boy, is it hard to change. And I think the longer you repeat a mistake, the more you ingrain it into your pattern, the more difficult it is to fix. Now we may be able to see the intersection here, but I'm going to save this intersection for another day because we're really not in a good position today, and if we put the camera any further downwind, all we're going to see is the sun. That isn't going to be of much value to Rich or me. Bill, the thing I see with Rich's pattern, the two things I'd like to see him work on, the inside square, that angle up, and maybe it's a rudder trim tab that maybe it's Scotch tape on a trim tab. I got to think about this. He's still convinced that when you fly this way, you don't need a rudder. Well, when you take a normal plane and turn it upside down, it's flying that way, guy. That's all there is to it. Okay, we're flying right into the sun, and what we're going to do, we're both going to pack it in here, but Rich is convinced he made some progress today, and that's the purpose of us doing DVDs. So you felt the tip weight helped a little bit? Okay. Now it could be, see, we're flying right into the sun. It's murder. Anybody that has to fly into the sun, you know.
There was no question about it. When I was doing the square, it didn't loosen up.
Right,
the top,
right.
You see?
Right.
The inside square. I don't have that problem with the outside square. It doesn't loosen up.
No, because you've got to trim it. It's a trim issue. See, the tip weight's just band-aiding over it. Well, in my case, what I've got is a band-aid on this guy until I get a chance to pull it apart and tweak the flap the way it should be. That just gets me through not having to pull it apart because I don't want to use these, what amount to be some really good days. Even the geese like these days. Look at these geese. They just can't live without us.
They're going over to the pool, taking a dip.
They take over the pool as soon as the people leave. But anyway, I'm glad we got this session, and I'll make up, I'll make another DVD for you with all the,
okay.
And get used to just put, you know what I do? You put 1/8" tape on a screen like a gun sight.
Yeah.
One straight up, one, and then where you think 45 is. I think it'll be very helpful. And if it doesn't help, it's not going to hurt at all. That's for sure. Good day, and I like to quit on a positive note here. But you cannot fly looking right into the sun. It's difficult, and it's dangerous too. And we got a lot of work to do back at the shop. So now that we're back at the shop, here's one of the things I always check for. Of course, check that I don't have any leaks or anything dripping and drooling, or I've been safety wiring these because I haven't had these zip ties be as reliable as I'd like. These are all nice and tight but yet not crushing the pipe. And what I want to do, I want to use, now I have two pipes. I just made up shells because I want to make these. This is an 18-inch pipe. This is a 19. So you can see the difference in the length. Now what I want to make up is a set. And what I'm going to do is go back and forth on these. I'm going to trim these off so that when I put them in the plane, see, otherwise I need an extra piece of tubing up here and a big long coupler, and it adds weight to the plane. And I don't want to add any weight to the plane because this plane is bottom heavy to begin with, so anything we add to the bottom is a problem. And when I'm making up these two pipes, I want to make this one here is one of the used pipes. This 37 grams. That's pretty light for a pipe. So I want to make sure I sand out each coat of resin as I finish these up, but I'll wind up with a set. Wind up with an 18, 18.5, 19, and 19.5. And that should cover us. And I'm hoping tomorrow's going to be, see, we're looking at the weather report. We're supposed to have 2 more days, today and tomorrow, of good weather. And then it's supposed to really go down. There's big storms coming in and rain and everything. So if I can get this done and get 1 day of testing on the other pipe, this pipe's finished, and I have to put pressure fittings in all the pipes so I can run pipe pressure. That's another thing. I don't want to cheat myself on this and not get it right like I did the other day. But anyway, what's nice is everything's staying whistle clean with the pipe pressure. There's nary a drop of oil anywhere on the plane at the end of a flying day. And that's one of the things I really, one of the things we've accomplished in the past couple of weeks is solving what I hope permanently, and we still have I'd say we have 80% of the motor run we have with the open vent. And maybe it's even better this way, I don't know. But it's certainly something I can deal with, and I couldn't deal with that oil all over the plane. That was just ruining the paint. On the front of the wing, it actually has ruined the paint. And the body, there's some spots on there. Come winter time, we're definitely going to have a refinish job. But in the winter, who cares? But what we'll have is, we'll have a set of tuning pipes so that we can tune without the weight, and it's a significant amount of weight. It's just under an ounce to have that other piece. See, because this material is very heavy. So you put on a 6-inch piece of that and a piece of aluminum and all these extra zip ties, and it adds up in a hurry, and it distorts the vertical CG on this plane. So having a set of the real light pipes that are under 40 grams, that's going to be a much better tuning tool. And tomorrow we'll start with the 19-inch pipe. Now as we get close to the end of this DVD, the other thing, we're going to work some more on the pipe lengths, trying to get a universal pipe length that's going to work for the weather that's coming up in the next couple of months. And usually that winds up to be about 19 inches. We also have this hit list, I call it a hit list, because what I like to do is once I taking these planes apart is really a full day job. They don't come apart in 15 minutes as you'd think they might. So what I want to do is I want to get, once I have it apart, I want to do all the things hopefully in one afternoon. That I need to do the tank shim and some changes to the venting and whatever. And then I also want to get the rest of the pipes made up for the Testarossa. And next week we have flushing coming up, so we got a lot of stuff coming up. But it's nice having some of the problems we've solved in the last week or so. That oil problem was just making me crazy. And we're going to basically do the same thing to this plane. I do not want to have the paint ruined on these planes at any price. See, we always used to use 5% fuel. Now that we're using 10, this is a constant problem. Don't have this problem with 5%, but I like the way the 10% runs. See you on the next DVD.